Welcome back to Living Local. The next era in virtual reality headset entertainment is here, and it's feature-length movies. And here to tell us all about it is Guido Meardi, CEO of V-Nova Studios. Hello, how are you?
Very good to see you, Brandy. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem. And you're zooming in from London, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. We are a London-based company, although, of course, I spend a lot of time abroad, but yeah, today, London.
So let's start with the big picture. How would you describe the current virtual reality headset market in the U.S.? Who's using this technology the most, and what kinds of experiences are attracting people right now?
Yeah, it's a brisk market ready for an inflection point. Today in the U.S., more than 30 million households are using virtual reality headsets, and mostly they are used for gaming today, gaming, fitness, but mostly gaming. Over $7 billion were spent in games last year, and tellingly almost zero was spent in narrative media that outside of virtual reality is actually very, very prominent. And mostly because of this subtle motion sickness that makes it hard for VR immersive movies to appeal to the masses. And that's exactly the problem that we solved, and the reason why we're talking about a dawn of a new era for visual media and visual entertainment. Thanks to our new V-Nova Presence format, now Hollywood movies or musical shows or storytelling entertainment in general are becoming an immersive reality where viewers can actually be there exactly like in the real world. So they can move around, sideways, closer, farther, even look around objects exactly like we do in real life, with the same visual quality as cinema. So, with cinematic quality and photorealistic quality. So we are very excited because what we are talking about is a relevant step change for movie viewing in general. And the main value is really this feeling of presence, exactly like being in a real reality. And as much as we've talked about it for multiple years, because this has been the promise of virtual reality for a long time, but now finally it's becoming real.
All right, so you've helped develop a new way to experience movies in virtual reality. Explain how this new technology works and why it's considered such a major step forward for entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. And the key difference is that we are no longer talking about video as we know it, but it's actually a volumetric format. So technically speaking, a point cloud format. But aside from the technicalities, the point is that the dream that we inherited from the Lumiere brothers when they created cinema was this dream of being immersed into visual stories. So teleporting people to another place. And so far we went progressively from motion pictures, then motion pictures with audio, then bigger screens, and then stereoscopic, we call it 3D, but it's actually stereoscopic video with 3D glasses. And all of these things work great and give emotions and bring us closer to the story, as long as we watch them with our head still and looking straight, like we do when we are at the cinema or when we watch TV. However, the dream was to really be immersed in a story like we are immersed in the real world, where, I can move my head, I can look around objects, and to be able to look around and move around like we do normally. And we call this 6 degrees of freedom, because effectively you can rotate your head and you can move your head in 6 degrees of freedom. And do that with the fidelity of reality, so the fidelity of cinema, so of top productions. Video doesn't cut it, because if you wrap around the viewer a bubble of video, you can't really have the same effect as reality, because as soon as you move your head, something is wrong. For instance, you cannot peek behind a character, and immediately people react by feeling sick. So, over time, this doesn't work. So for some minutes, it can give the impression of being teleported to a new reality, but over time, it didn't work. And finally, with the technology that we created, we added volume. So added real volume, which means it's no longer video. You are actually in a volumetric reality with depth, with the possibility to move around and look around like in real reality. And the nice thing is that it just works. So, you know, beyond any technicality of how it achieves this feat, the best thing for viewers is to experience it and to feel this sense of presence that the technology gives.
Yes.
The other very important aspects of this technology is the ease with which content is created, because a lot of the movies that we go and watch at the cinema are already volumetric, because if you think about all the CG animations like, you know, Mufasa or Moana or Elio or, you know, the DreamWorks animations, etc., they're all already in 3D. And a lot of VFX movies are actually three-dimensional in nature. And so it's actually quite inexpensive to take assets that are already produced or are being produced, so hundreds of millions of investments per movie and several billions of investments per year, and turn them into incredible immersive experiences.
So I'm sorry, but we are out of time. But before we go, can you tell us quickly where people can go to learn more about this and see what's new out there?
Absolutely. You know, they can go to our website, www.vnova.com, v-nova.com. And in particular, vnova.com/ImmersiX, ImmersiX, which is the fusion of the word immersive and 6 degrees of freedom, is actually the platform application that allows people to experience content already today, starting from the Steam store, and very soon also on the MetaQuest store and the Apple Vision Pro store.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Guido, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.